we're back again, reading Reddit. Let's get into it. So, usually I just kind of scrap and put all of these. Usually I just throw all of my precious children somewhere so that it's less distracting, but I think we should keep them up. That's what I'm doing in this video. I've got my Bigfoots over here. My God, don't fall, please. My beloved MacBook. I don't know if you can see that one, but this one is like in timeout. It's turned towards the wall, and then we've got my Taylor Swift poster that is literally in every single Reddit video. And I think this should become a place where we meet to read Reddit. Okay? Right here. With all my friends. The first one we're reading is from 3 minutes ago, and the Reddit page that we are reading from is r/am I overreacting? Probably not, but let's see. Am I overreacting? Male attention scaring me? Probably not. Probably not. I am a girl, and as I was growing up, I understood there would be some men who are creepy, who I need to avoid, but I guess I didn't understand how it would feel. I am 17. Compared to many, I am lucky for how little I am made uncomfortable. It's almost funny. It tends to happen in clusters. For example, there was one week where I am on the bus and this older man calls me beautiful, and then tells me he wishes he could walk around exposed to the world. A couple days later, there is another older man tried to flirt with me as if he were 20. Hey, how you doing? I hate that face. Another time I was walking home with my dog, a Chihuahua mix, and some guy on a bike was checking me out. I didn't mind because he didn't seem like he was 60 years older than me. The bar is low, but this older man saw me and he was like, he looks like he's gonna eat you up. Then proceeds to follow me and asked me to fix his mental health and smoke with him, saying he'd provide weed. Wonder if it's laced. Thankfully, I have a bigger dog now who barks at men who comes up to us for no good reason and don't leave us alone. But then today, it's my TIET day? I don't know what that means. If this new internship and I didn't dress like a slob. So naturally in a 10-minute walk, I had 3 older men gawking at me. Then on a bus, as this old man is leaving, he passes me. My chair is facing towards the inside of the bus. So as he passes, I can help but look at him. So he stops, looks at me. His face is about a foot from mine. He says what all the older guys say to me. You are beautiful today. I am uncomfortable. I have no space to move. He's staring at me. Oh, thanks, I smile. As soon as he walks away, I cannot hide my disgust. I notice there's a young guy who saw the whole interaction. When the old man says what he said, the young man seems happy, and I am disgusted. He seems confused. Is it weird how I am annoyed he seemed confused? I mean, like, why are some guys so naive? It's irritating. Okay, that was hard to read through. I don't know if that was on my part or this person's part, but people on Reddit who post usually don't know how to spell or no proper grammar, but anyways, this was posted 3 minutes ago, so there are no comments. You are not overreacting, okay? And I feel like you're kind of underreacting, you know? I feel like, I don't know, get yourself one of them safety keychains that are all over TikTok and like 5 pepper sprays just to keep in every pocket, because yeah, that's creepy. That's not, I mean, that's the world we live in. So you're not overreacting. It's perfectly normal to be very confused and upset at why people are looking at you. Okay? So, everybody, lock in, grab some snacks, lock in. Am I overreacting? My fiance writes fan fiction and I'm going to assume shit, instead of spending time with me. throw away because I don't want the author's 28 male, fiance, 26 female, find it. Hi Reddit, long time browser, first time poster. My relationship has hit a rough patch and I'm not sure where to start, so I'll quickly catch you up. I'm going to end up rambling, I'm sorry. I hope it comes together in the end. My fiance and I have been together for 3 years, close to 4, and we have 2 kids together and a kid from her previous relationship. We were madly in love, even after our firstborn, and we were inseparable, constantly loving on each other and spending time together. And with our kid after they were born. So much time together, she got pregnant again 8 weeks postpartum. I know, but we couldn't keep our hands off of each other. And while pregnant, we were very close. The only issue I could bring up around that time was she almost refused to go over to my family's house, 25 minutes down the road if time matters. So my parents could see the baby even though they threw her a baby shower because her parents refused, and my mom sat with her in the hospital while she was delivering because her family wouldn't. I can't list all the reasons her family is toxic or we'll be here all day. To the tone of physical, mental, and financial abuse, but no substances involved. My family welcomed her with open arms, and we're not perfect but polar opposites from hers. We grew up poor and trailer trash, but good-hearted and really tight-knit. Anyways, that's the only issue I had around the time, but we were still very close and very affectionate and intimate. Well, after our second and final was born, things really changed. I can't recall when, but we drifted apart and hit the roommate phase for close to a year, if not a bit longer, then up to about 4 months ago, where we were not really hanging out and not really affectionate. I would play games all day, and when I got off of work, she would be on TikTok or with the kids. What? I would play games all day when I got off of work, and she would be on TikTok or with the kids. But 4 months ago, we had a big fight, and she told me I didn't really help around the house or with the kids, and it hit me that I didn't do much of anything other than play the game with my friends until it was time for bed. I realized I needed to change, and I had neglected not only my role as a husband, but as a father, and I felt terrible. So that day I quit vaping. I quit playing video games, not entirely, but one on the weekend. Maybe one on the weekend only after I do all my housework, because I was addicted and I had to let these things control my life. I've reinvented myself. I do the dishes, take out the trash, give the kids their baths, help her feed them, and pick up after them. Pretty much, I tried to take as much off of her plate as I can because I love her, and her love languages are acts of service and gifts, so I randomly pick up chocolates and flowers so I can meet her needs. Well, I told her that I did all this for her to be the best man I can and the best father and husband because I want to be an example of love to our kids like we used to be. And things were looking up and getting better. We were more affectionate towards each other again, but then one of her friends, 26 female, says that she writes fan fiction with her out of the blue after years, and turns out friend's husband didn't want them to be friends. Why, I don't know, but she was forced to cut her out. And I was happy for her that she finally had a friend again. But until all her time started to be spent on her phone, and we went back to the roommate phase, this time with me holding up more and more than my end of the bargain. So I confronted her and told her my needs are not being met. My love languages are physical touch and words of affirmation, and I get neither from her, and I'm really feeling neglected. So I tried to prioritize communication over everything else when it comes to a relationship, and she tells me, sorry you feel that way, but I don't know how to explain how I felt for you. And so I asked her to how I feel to you. And I just asked her to just try, and she says she doesn't want to cuddle me or be affectionate or intimate with me because she's too touched out. And she can't tell me positive affirmations because she doesn't know the words to say, but she writes really intricate fan fiction, and it contains smut. I don't know how graphic because I'm not allowed to read it, but from what she explained, her and her friend will be role-playing characters with each other, or she writes the stories with an AI chat robot that role-plays the characters, and yes, the smut parts too. She will be writing the AI almost all day because she's a I don't know how to say that word. And I work 7 to 5, but even when I'm home, she's constantly writing, and she wants me in like an almost succubus type of way. But most of the time she doesn't even want to touch me. So when I confronted her, it was better for a week. She would cuddle me without asking or just run my back or my randomly give me kisses, the cutesy sweet stuff, and then at night get really freaky to a point where it's not like her anymore. And that went on for a week, and then back to roommates for another 3 weeks until I brought it up again, saying, hey, that week was amazing, why can't it kind of be like that all the time? My cup was running over that week, and it's being back to empty. Well, it changed for the better again for another week, then 3 or 4 more roommate weeks, and I brought it up again, and same cycle. So I brought it up again last night, and I said, I'm not crying over you anymore. I'm learning to live without my needs being met, and I told myself 3 strikes, and I'm done, but I'm willing to give you one more chance, and if it doesn't stick, then I don't know if I can keep doing this roller coaster ride, or being happy and then being lonely. Because if I ask her if she's okay, or if I did anything wrong, I get told, no, everything's fine, but that's because she's constantly writing these stories, and I feel honestly that if I was not in her life, nothing would change. She would still wake up and write with her friends or the AI until it's time to go to sleep. I don't feel valued. Even Father's Day was kind of ruined. She didn't tell me until halfway through. She forgot my birthday 2 months ago during this revolving door that has become my relationship. I feel that she is having her needs met by these stories, and that's why mine don't matter. She really doesn't seem to want me emotionally or physically, and it's kind of taking a toll on my mental health. Is my relationship over? I think, unfortunately, if you're seeing signs that it's just not working, I think that deep down when it's time to go. When it's time to go. This has no comments. Oh, 6 minutes ago. Okay, somebody said, damn, you're not wrong for feeling hurt. You made real changes. And it sounds like she barely noticed, which sucks. It's definitely a problem when someone chooses their fantasy world over their actual partner consistently. Basically, emotional neglect. You've laid out your needs clearly and more than once. In my opinion, you've already done the heavy lifting to save this. If she's not willing to meet you halfway, for real, then yeah, it might be time to stop bleeding for a connection that only exists in spurts. Yeah. Wait, wedding? Who said anything about a wedding? Okay, that person, I think, was reading the wrong story. Yeah, I think, unfortunately, you know when it's kind of over, and you've done a lot on trying to be the best person that you can, and she's just not really valuing that. So I think yeah, I think it's kind of over. It's unfortunate. I feel bad for him. Okay, this one is called, Am I Overreacting for Walking Out of My Own Birthday Dinner After My Boyfriend Surprised Me with His Ex as a Guest? No, you're not overreacting. You're probably underreacting. You need to go psycho. I'm kidding, but let's read this. I, 26 female, just had my birthday dinner last weekend. My boyfriend, 28 male, organized it at my favorite restaurant and told me it would be a small and intimate. When I showed up, I was happy to see a few close friends and family. About halfway through the meal, my boyfriend shows up late. He showed up late to a party he planned for his girlfriend. Cut him off. With his ex, 29 female, in tow. Second red flag in the span of 3 sentences. cut him off. He's not over the ex. He introduced her to everyone as a good friend and insisted to join our table. I was shocked, especially since I've told him before that I'm uncomfortable with how close they are. They text and hang out sometimes, which already annoys me, but he says they're just friends. His ex acted super friendly and kept making jokes about the good old days with my boyfriend, even bringing up inside jokes I'd never heard of. Everyone at the table seemed awkward but tried to brush it off. After 20 minutes of this, I couldn't take it anymore and told my boyfriend I needed some air. I ended up calling an Uber and going home. He's furious with me for making a scene, and his mom, who was there, called me immature for leaving my own party. Now he's not even talking to me and says I overreacted and embarrassed him. Was I really that out of line for walking out? Am I overreacting, or was this actually as weird as it felt? No, it was actually as weird as it felt. And you need to cut him and his family off because they're assholes. This should be, honey, is my boyfriend and his family an asshole? Subreddit, so. There's top 3 comments. So let's see. Organizing a dinner and then showing up late to that very dinner for your birthday with his ex? That's actually insane to me. In no circumstance would I be okay with any significant other doing this to me. They would for sure would have gotten more than just me silently taking an Uber ride home as a scene being caused. Not telling you what to do since it's your relationship, but you are without a shadow of a doubt not overreacting. Have a better day, OP. Yeah, girl. You need to make a scene. You need to make an actual scene. Somebody else said, to be honest, this is one of the most evil relationship stories I've heard. To parade in with your ex publicly like that, what an asshole. He needs his head checked. Yes, I concur. Yeah. This is the type of villain arc things so see in bad romance films. Unbelievable he would do that. There's no way you can stay with him after that. Yeah. He's not over his ex. I mean, exes can be friends, but in this situation, it sounds like they're not over each other. Moving on. Trigger warning, before I read this, you can click off or skip ahead to this timestamp, but this is about somebody physically doing something to their friend. Like, do you see where I'm going? I hope you do, because let's read it. Am I overreacting, my friend Stranglad? No, most likely not at all. Next, I'm kidding. So I, 18 female, was hanging out with friends. 5 out of the 7 of us had hit the Oscar the Grouch, if you know what I'm saying. Friend 1 had asked a question. He was confused as to how the first ever living thing ate, if it was the first ever thing. Well, plants? That's kind of a dumb question. Anyways. Friend 2, one of the few who hadn't smoked, was explaining using the proper terms. It was going right over friend 1's head. I began explaining. Imagine you're the first thing ever. Imagine you're the first ever thing in water, and you drink water. You feed off your environment. Friend 2 began talking over me. I turned and said, "Shut up." Everyone giggled. I continued explaining. The next thing I know, I was pulled backwards by my throat. Friend 2 had squeezed me on top of him and was strangling me. It couldn't have lasted more than 10 to 15 seconds, but he squeezed twice while I was trying to pry him off of me. It hurt and I couldn't breathe. I can't tell if I'm overreacting. My friends didn't seem like anything was off. We can be quite a roughhousing bunch. My vision didn't go strange and he left no marks. Is it possible that I just felt more because I couldn't breathe because I was recovering from a respiratory infection? Maybe he didn't realize his strength. It was a fright as we don't have a close friendship. He lives a bit away, so he doesn't come out with the friend group often. It was the first time we ever physically touched. I kept noticing little bits of violent attention-seeking behavior. I believe he's into my friend the way he acts, but maybe I'm too observant and overthink too much. I was very flinchy around him and gave him the cold shoulder the rest of the night. Am I overreacting? No, because if he does that that's friend 2, so he wasn't even hitting the Oscar the Grouch. If that's something that he does when you tell him to shut up because you're talking and he was talking over you, what else is he gonna do? You need to put an end to that, okay? Get a restraining order or something. So it seems like there's some good comments here. Somebody said, I once sat at a table with a group of people I considered friends, and having one person try to choke me out from behind for taking his seat. Nobody batted an eye until I defended myself for not being able to breathe. I was the overreactor for the situation. You're not overreacting. This is testing the waters, and if there are no consequences for them now, there will be consequences for you or other women later. Yeah. If they place their hands in the right spot, 10 seconds is enough to make you lose consciousness. This is not good fun or horseplay. This is obtuse and a huge red flag. This dude literally assaulted you for something you said. It only gets worse if you keep them around. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Assault is the first degree, or in many states, stranglum has its own set of punishments to hand out. It's way past obtuse. Obtuse was the way they talked to her and basically gaslit her into thinking she was wrong for reacting. Yeah. Somebody else said, being high doesn't invalidate your experience. You were violated in a moment where you were vulnerable, and it's okay to feel scared, confused, or unsure. The fact that others brushed it off doesn't mean it wasn't serious. It means they may not have fully understood what happened, in which case I ditch those friends. Absolutely. Reddit's talking tea. Clock it. Am I overreacting for getting upset my dad cropped my wife out of our baby announcement post? Probably not. You're probably not overreacting. We just had our first baby. My wife, 30 female, and I, 31 male, took a picture together holding the baby for the official announcement. I sent it to my parents and they said they could share it. My dad posted a crop version with just me and the baby. When my wife noticed, she asked if it was a mistake. I called my dad and he said, well, I figured people only care about the bloodline stuff anyway. My wife is not white. For context, I am. She was devastated. I told him that was disrespectful and racist. That's the word I'm gonna use. He said I was making drama over a photo. My mom is saying he meant no harm and I'm blowing it up. But it doesn't feel like just a photo. Am I overreacting for making this a big deal? No. Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. You have the right for being upset? That's ridiculous. She is your wife. You sent them the final photo that you wanted to be on the invitation, and he cropped it out. Completely unnecessary and disrespectful and racist. And if the author's 31, that means the dad is probably like 50, 60, thereabouts around that age, which that's a boomer. And you know what happens with boomers, so they're kind of most, at least the ones that I know, are like that. I'm not saying all of them are, but protect your wife from the racism of your parents. Is that an actual word? Am I being rude? I don't mean to offend anybody. I just don't know what I can and can't say, okay? Of your parents. What your dad did is unacceptable, and your mother excusing it, makes her complicit. Yes. Your wife should have a loud voice in what happens next in regards to a relationship with them, and she shouldn't be made to feel like she has to decide anything right now. Childbirth is incredibly taxing in ways you can never imagine, physically and emotionally. She needs time to heal. Additionally, you both need time to bond with the baby before you try to process this foolishness. Nothing should hinder this adjustment phase. That means the best solution may be going to NC, non-communicative with them for the time being. The behavior is targeting her, and she should never be made to feel like she has to talk to or share space with people who have shown her profound disrespect. Once you've both figured out the rhythm of your new normal, you can decide if you want to keep no communicative, or choose what boundaries you want in a place if interaction is allowed. No contact gives you a minute to adapt and rest, giving you much clearer heads to make decisions about the future. I agree. I completely agree. And that's just not acceptable. He should not treat your wife like that. So you are not overreacting. Am I overreacting about my girlfriend of 2 years randomly going out with a guy she was set up to date? Probably not. But let's see. I, 23 male, had a long conversation with my girlfriend, 21 female, tonight about boundaries after she brought up randomly that she was going out with a coworker to get coffee. She had just come back from hanging with friends and we all had a call on her drive home. We spoke about our days and then the aforementioned plans came up. The person she was going to coffee with was her coworker, whose mom tried to get them to date about a year ago. She'd apparently been talking to him, trying to make plans, and after a couple had fallen through, he'd expressed interest in wanting to get coffee out with her. Over the phone, she just brought it up like it meant nothing, and it upset me quite a bit. The reason I feel upset is because my partner has gotten very upset in the past over me hanging out with women. Whether it's a lifetime childhood friend or just a coworker, they've always gotten defensive. I had assumed that this boundary went both ways, and to my dismay, they've been hanging out with single dudes, one on, one off, over the past 6 months. It's made me feel quite upset that something that's so serious to her doesn't warrant any sort of conversation when she does a similar thing. I don't really think that they cheat on me, nor do I care about them hanging out with these people. What I'm upset about is that they had an established boundary with me that hanging out with the opposite gender one-on-one is a big no-no. Even hanging out with the childhood friends of the opposite sex has made her uncomfortable. So I've generally tried to either group up with those friends or say no altogether. I don't know if I'm crazy for this, but the whole situation has made me uncomfy. What's more, my partner started getting really upset over me bringing this up and almost getting mad at me for talking about it. This is my first healthy relationship, so I'm not sure if I'm being an asshole for trying to talk to her about this boundary, but to me this is all felt very wrong and off. Listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. If it is making you feel weird and it just doesn't feel right, cut her off. And yeah, that doesn't seem fair that the boundaries don't go both ways. So I would say you're kind of overreacting if she was just, going to get coffee with a coworker and you were allowed to go hang out with a childhood best friend. But since there's a boundary that seems like only for you, that you can't hang out with the opposite sex, that doesn't seem fair to you that she can. I feel like before maybe splitting it off, you should at least try to ask, like, hey, did something in another relationship, go wrong with the guy? Or like, hey, did something, like, did your last partner cheat or something? Is that why this is kind of going on? Or just like talk. Even if she doesn't want to talk, just see if you can kind of form it in a way where she doesn't have to talk. That doesn't really make sense, but oh, we got a big update here. So somebody commented, "Nor. Oh, is it supposed to be not overreacting? I'm so dumb. Your partner is a hypocrite and it doesn't sound like a healthy relationship if her boundaries don't go both ways. I'm not trying to be a dick, but if I had to guess, she's getting mad at you because she knows what she's doing is wrong and she knows she's taking advantage of the situation, coming from experience. Don't accuse her of cheating unless you have evidence, but there's a good chance she could be. Reading this made my stomach drop. I empathize. I've been in your shoes too, and they always ended up cheating in some form. Not saying that's going to happen to you, but the signs are there if you let this continue. Talk to her and ask her why she feels she she feels a need to hang out with guys. Maybe your relationship is lacking something, and tell her she's a hypocrite. She's already said you can't hang out with women, but there are no boundaries surrounding hanging out with guys. Don't get emotional if she does. Stand your ground and tell her she's a hypocrite and there's a double standard. She might try to tell you you're insecure, controlling, jealous, etc. That's all wrong and a sign of her not wanting to take accountability. Don't let her gaslight you. Simply remind her you want her to be accountable and to reestablish trust and fairness in your relationship. If she doesn't want to do this or acknowledge/give you the right to hang out with women, you either have to accept her immature behavior or leave the relationship. Best of luck. OP then replied to that and said, we're still on the phone and she's pretty upset. I brought up a lot and I think I overwhelmed her, and that seems to be the main culprit as to why she's upset. Another thing I was a little miffed over was that she got directly in the middle of her roommate's relationship, being the middleman and just making things really difficult for both parties. I was upset with her because that is energy she could be putting into already well-established relationships she has in her own life, or energy she could put into her own mental health. But yeah, I've been staying level-headed. I want her to be acknowledged emotionally and work on communication of boundaries and also prevent silly double standards from happening in the first place. I don't think she's cheating, but I hope that going forward we can more easily just talk about stuff like this. I gotta be a bit more forthcoming with issues that I'm upset about, though, and not drop emotional bombs on her, LOL. Alright, well, I completely agree. Please hold on. My voice feels like I've got sand in it. Yeah, she's a hypocrite. She's a Hufflepuff. And I think you just need to talk. If you don't see a solution when you talk, I think it's just the time to go. I think that it just won't work out, unfortunately, because you have to put like 50% in, and it has to be like even for a relationship to work. And if she's not doing that, if there's double standards, then it's not gonna work. It's not even, but yeah, those were some interesting ones. I like this Reddit. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below your thoughts on these stories. Let me know. Let me know some of your takes, okay? And while you're down there commenting, click all the buttons. You know what to do. And I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world doing this. And peace.